Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
This is the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli. And this episode here, as we come into 2025, is a little more informational. It's a little bit about my business, my what I do. So this is kind of for those who might be thinking about making a change in 2025. I normally don't advocate for New Year's resolutions, but since we're so close, a lot of people probably are there or just using the new year by default as a time to restart and redo something with their lives. It's just traditional of what we do. And that's okay. You know, that's all right. Sometimes it's that little nudge you need once the holidays have cleared and passed and it's just ice cold January and you got nothing else going on but a bunch of work and kids stuff. And you just want to do something for yourself. So that's kind of how it goes. And, you know, for this, it's a little bit of where I've been, what I'm doing and where I'm going to go with this. So, you know, this whole thing started by dumb luck, really, just me being a douchebag in my early 30s. You know, I had gotten frustrated with myself in my 20s. I drank a lot, I smoked cigarettes a lot, and I was half-assing the gym a lot throughout my 20s. I was in and out, you know. And then in 2014, I was about 31 years old. My boss died. He was older. He was 66. And then I became a father. So those couple of things kind of really resonated with me and made me really want to just start getting my health in order a little bit. So in 2014, I had my last cigarette ever 2 months before my daughter was born. So that was when I really started to take off, and I really took my health seriously because I had some purpose with my daughter being born. So that's a big one. But you know, that doesn't have to be your purpose. It can, if you're not a parent, you can find other reasons. You know, you find yours. I can't tell you what it is. I can't give you examples, and everyone's different. And, you know, so that sort of spiraled into me just, you know, being a little bit of a douchebag on social media and posting some selfies and some progress photos and doing some challenges with some other guys and girls and doing those types of things to stay fit and all that. And it was a really exciting time because I'd figured out myself. I figured out what my body needed. I figured out how to eat. I figured out how to enjoy my food and make progress at the same time, which was the key because I like to eat and I like to eat very good tasting food. And a lot of the food we have is hyper palatable and calorie dense here in this country with large portions. And I didn't necessarily want to give that up. But I was never really good at moderation either. So I kind of figured out both, made it work. I won't get too into that. That's kind of where it goes for the client from there. However, there's a bigger piece to it. It's the behaviors and habits. So what really needs to happen, and to kind of tell you what I'm going to be doing here with people, is it's hard to sell this to people because the finding out your habits and your behaviors and going into those, it's a gray area between an actual, you know, nutrition coach type thing and trainer versus a therapy kind of thing, because that seems like something you would do for therapy, is like, oh, what's my behaviors and all of that? What's the change? But it doesn't have to go that deep. Eventually, a behavioral therapist might have to come into play for someone that has an actual eating issue or an eating disorder. But what needs to happen a lot is, and not always was I doing this, I would essentially just kind of go in, do the meal plans, run macros, do meal plans, get you on a training routine and go. And that works for a lot of people, and it did for many, and they sustained it. And but unfortunately, it still kind of felt like a diet to some. The problem is that when somebody does something like this and they sign up with a coach or nutrition or a program or whatever you want to call it, they feel like they're paying for the results. That's what whether it's subconscious or not, they feel like I'm paying for it, I'm doing it, I'm going to get these results. And you know what? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Depends on how hard you work, because the work is up to you. However, it's happened before. It's happened many times. A diet is only as good as it is while you're on it. And once you're off of it, what happens from there? That's what really matters. So what we want to do is address the foundation. And the foundation is the habits, the ingrained behaviors and things like that, and why and what your just day to day is, your autopilot. Basically, you got to like steer your autopilot to a new direction, to use a weird cliche, but that's kind of what has to happen. And without that happening, and you just take on a meal plan, a macro count, a training routine, and you start doing it, you're going to get some progress. But at the same time, there's an underlying piece that hasn't been touched, and that's those behaviors, and that's those things that you're used to doing, whether it be like dumping X amount of cream into your coffee every day, or driving through Starbucks for something that's starting your day off with 475 calories and 33 grams of sugar. That's something that probably needs to be addressed and go away, because I'll tell you, just to give you a little bit of an idea, a woman who wants to drop weight, the average woman's calorie deficit range is somewhere between 15 to 1800 calories a day. All right. And if you're going to have 475 calories of liquid to start your day with zero protein inside of it, you're already putting 25% of your daily calories in just on your drive to work with that Starbucks coffee. So these are the kinds of things that, okay, a meal plan's great, but if you're not going to stop doing that, then we have an issue. But what we would like to do is, okay, the habit is I go to Starbucks to get my coffee, and then I go to work with it. And that's what I just like to do. So from there, we decide, okay, does the Starbucks need to be there, or does it need to, or can it go away? But if I like the Starbucks, you'd like it? Okay, fine. Let's develop a new drink that you're going to like that's a fraction of the calories. Maybe it's a cold brew with just a splash of cream and a little bit of stevia or something like that. So I don't know, something like that. That's how we do it. We take little changes everywhere and we implement them without as much depravity as we can. So it's kind of compromising with yourself to find these happy mediums everywhere within your day. And then we go ahead and do it from there. We'll still design a meal plan. We'll still up your protein count. We'll still run your macros, all of that good stuff. And that's what needs to happen. So that's kind of how it goes. We're going to find those things. And the hard part is that what I think the best way to start with a coach is not the best way a client thinks it is, because it could be annoying to them because they're paying for it and they feel like they're paying for the results. So the problem is, like, the best thing to do is like, okay, first week, I'm not going to tell you anything. I just want you to log in and track what you normally would do in a day, because what that gives me is information of what you do on a daily basis and how you behave. But you got to be honest with it. You can't be embarrassed. You have to be upfront and honest. Like, okay, this is what I did. I went to Dunkin'. I got a 550 calorie iced latte thing and a donut. The whole thing came to 900 calories or whatever. Okay, well, there's a start. Then we go to lunch. That's another issue. Then we go to snacking. Then we go to your sedentary life, then dinner, and then late night and all that. And then there's just different facets that need to be addressed. So that's kind of where I like to start with things. But as far as the process goes, this goes so deep, by the way. So I'm just going to keep it in order a little bit because I'm putting a post together. And again, it's so wordy because there's so much involved in it. And it gets really clarified on a phone call. And that's where I start with people. Okay, you have interest in this, you go to my website, fill it out, or just message me, whatever it is. Fill out the intake sheet, give me your number, your email, and we set up a call, a Zoom or a phone call. 100% free. I don't push any sales bullshit on you because I just can't be that way. It's a discussion. It's a call of clarity to understand where this is going to go and how this is going to start. And so you know what I'm like, and I know what your goals are and how we're going to go about this process. So it's to give you a little bit of ease into signing up in some fashion. Okay. And then I'll go into the rates and everything like that of what we have. There's different, there's a month, a week, there's 3 months, however we want to do it. But life is expensive. It's more expensive than ever, really. So the plans that I'm going to be doing are very flexible. It's almost a negotiation in a sense, a friendly negotiation, because there's certain things you might need that others may or may not need. For instance, like maybe you're great in the gym. Maybe you kind of know what you're doing and you're good with your plan, or you have a trainer already, but your diet sucks. And maybe you just want to do the whole diet side of this with me, and you don't need me to design a program training routine for you, strength training or cardio or whatever, or both, whatever it might be. You don't need that. Then we're going to reduce your rate. That's the bottom line, because why would I give you that if you already have it going? So, it's logical. That's it. I'm not here to rip anybody off. I want to be flexible. Your diet's supposed to be flexible. I'm going to try to make it as flexible as possible. And then your finances, financially, we got to be flexible too. So, because you can't be anxious and an unaffordable plan while you're trying to do this, because if you're stressed out about the money, your brain's not going to be in it, and you might start resenting it, and then it's just not going to go anywhere. So it's got to work for your budget and yourself. We do nutrition, like we said. It's going to be macronutrients. What that is your protein, fat, and carbs, X amount. That's going to equal your calories based on your goal. If you want to lose fat, this is most people start there. That's going to be a calorie deficit. I give you a range. Okay. So it's like, I'm going to give you, let's just say we kind of like go ahead and figure out your age, your height, your current weight, your goal weight, your daily like movement. If you're sedentary, if you're working out, you're not working out, and all that, I kind of can put all that together, generate a calorie deficit number. And what I do is I create a range between your BMR and your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. And what that does is create a range for you. Let's just say it's a 500 calorie range for, let's say, a woman between 1,300 and 1,800 calories is your deficit range. That means you're in a calorie deficit. That means if you stay in that range, you will lose fat, but you got to stick with it regularly. And what I'll do is I will start you on a meal plan if that's what you select, or I'll load your MyFitnessPal in. If you're going to do your own tracking, I'm going to load that in at the upper side of your deficit. So if 13 to 1,800 is your deficit, I'm probably going to start you at about 1,700 calories. The reason I don't go so to the bottom is just because that's going to start you out in a starvation mode. Starvation type diet's too low, and there's nowhere to go once you start to plateau and your body gets used to that count. If I start you at 1,700 calories, then if you can lose fat, think about that, for 2 or 3 months or more on 1,700 calories, then you plateau. Guess what? Okay, well, we'll knock it down maybe to 1,650, 1,625. We'll just go slowly down, and now we'll just knock a little bit off. Now the weight starts to move again, but you're still have all that backed up in your deficit to keep going in that range. So therefore, I'm going to start there, and then when you truly plateau, that's when we move it. And a true plateau is 2 to 3 weeks of no progress, no weight loss or nothing in the mirror, but you've been consistent with everything. Okay. So if you're going, you're losing, then all of a sudden the adherence to this thing starts to falter. We got to talk about that before we make any other changes to your calories or macros, because it's a habitual thing, or it's a adherence to the diet that's the problem. Because if you're doing this for a while and then all of a sudden you start to get lax on your weekends and you start binging, now we know we have a weekend binge problem that is causing you to go from a deficit to maintenance, or perhaps even to a surplus to start back to gaining. So instead of lowering your calories, I'm not going to do that right away, but I'm going to say, hey, let's check these weekends out. What are you doing? Okay. Then we go from there. So that's just kind of how the nutrition side of it all works. And protein, fat, carbs are all dispersed as needed. I do about, 0.8 to 1 gram of protein for your lean mass body weight or your goal weight. So they get you where you need to be. Fitness, as far as your training, again, like this is huge, because like what I kind of said in the beginning and what I'm kind of putting out there is that this is specific to you. All right. So what I'm not going to do is say, all right, here's a strength training that I do or that somebody else does. It's 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. Go do it. Now you've got a full-time job and 3 kids, and you think you're going to do 6 days a week for 2 hours? I don't know. Maybe some people can do that, but I don't think most can. So the best way to do that is you tell me how much time you've got to dedicate to strength training. How many days a week? How many minutes per day? Okay. And then what I'm going to do is fit in the best routine for you with compound movements to do the most you can in the shortest amount of time to get what's going to be optimal for you. And then once you start getting into the gym, sometimes if you're ice cold and you haven't been in a while, you start doing it and you might want to add another day in. Then we can change it up. So that's kind of how that's going to go with fitness. We're just going to put it in there. And if you're already working with somebody, then you've already got that. And then again, now behaviors, we kind of talked about that. That's kind of where we would start, behaviors and habits, because those are what really drive things. Like what triggers you to reach for, a bag of chips at the end of the night. Or you've ever been there where you just kind of ate well all day and then at night you just kind of binged and went nuts. Like what happened there? So, I'll do something of the sort of like, we have a meal plan in place. Let's do something here. If you're doing well all day, but at night, you're just like, I gotta eat. I don't care. I'm just going to eat what I want. What we'll do is let's designate a meal that you really like. Okay. And make that your last meal of the day. So something you'll actually look forward to, whatever that is, we'll figure something out. And what that does is that's like in the last episode, I did the delayed gratification. That is the delayed gratification where like, okay, like, now throughout the day that I have this big fun meal at the end of the day to look forward to every day. That's going to change your mindset a little bit. And maybe you are in the middle of the day, you're losing track and you're just, you maybe at 2:30 at the office, you just give in and you grab 2 donuts out of the box for the morning and just go to town and just say, whoops. And then, right there, it's 1,000 calories. And then you're just like, oh shit. And then, those kinds of things. And that's where you need to also be honest and upfront with me and say, hey, look, I just ate this shit and this is what happened. And I'm going to be like, you know what? I've done that. Because that's another thing I do. I operate with empathy, concern, and understanding. I want a place of honesty and trust. If you're going to eat, because what that does, what it does to me, if you're going to eat in silence, not say anything, but then tell me, I'm not losing anything. Now I'm going to be freaking out, panicking here. Like, what the hell's going on? What's wrong with my numbers? What did I do wrong? When deep down that you are in the donut box at the office. And I don't know about that. Then I'm just putting my hands up in the air, and then we get that awkward. We develop that awkwardness where I have to ask you an uncomfortable question of, are you eating anything else that you're not blogging or telling me about? Because that's it. And for me, you can't feel stupid because I've done it all. I've done all the stupid things. So that's one thing I'll tell you on my initial phone call is to not worry about feeling stupid with me because I've done it all. And I'll tell you those things I've done so you don't do them. So that's just kind of how that goes. And then as far as contacting me, I don't really restrict it. Some coaches, trainers, they will. I don't. Now, you might have to give me some time to get back to you depending on where I'm at and what I'm doing. But I don't care. At this point, I don't have a restrictive time. I just might get back to you in an hour or possibly the next morning. It depends on what's happening. So that, and then I'm doing a little bit on referrals. I've always done referrals for like kickbacks, I should say, which is referrals, progress photos, and reviews. So if a client comes in and gives me a review on my on Google for my website that goes on there, that's an extra week. Progress photos are an extra week or two, and referrals is another week to add on to that. I'm also considering a monetary referral kickback, like maybe like 10% back or something, or 10% to somebody that doesn't even work with me, but they've recommended me. So like for instance, if somebody signs up for I'm bad with math, but for a $500 program and they referred me, you're going to get $50 for doing that. I think that's fair. I think that's a good idea. I think that helps people, send people over to me and they get a little bit of something out of it. I think it's a great way to be. So that's really kind of how things work with me there. And we just kind of keep going. Ideally, I like to just say, hey, let's work as long as you think you need, but I'll take clients. Some clients like having a coach or trainer is a luxury to them. The help with the meal plans, the accountability, always welcome back in. But my goal is to make it so that you can go on your own and you can sort of just be good and you've made a change. Like you're not looking for diets anymore. You're just trying to do as good as you can for yourself with what we created for you, if that makes sense. So that's sort of what I'm looking at doing, what I've been doing and kind of building upon. So that's really it. I just wanted to put this out there and maybe ramble about it a little bit just to do that. If it's the new year, great. If it's before that, fine. I mean, there's not much time left before the new year, but It seems to be a popular time for everybody to get started. I know I have my New Year's resolutions in place. I do it every year, even though sometimes I'll scoff at them because I think they can be just a placeholder of procrastination. But hey, that's the way it is. I was going to do a Christmas episode too, but I didn't. I did it last year. We covered a lot. But maybe next year I'll do a dedicated Christmas episode just to kind of give it some space because the years are flying by. The years are fucking flying by, and it's getting weird. So again, and that's more reasons to kind of like just get yourself figured out. Now, if time's passing fast for you, then time will go fast and your results will come faster, and the time will pass regardless. Time will pass, and there's nothing we can do about that. So. Again, this is just sort of a overview episode here of my business. I'm looking to expand, do more. I don't know if I said it at the beginning, but I am certified with NASM as a nutrition coach, CNC, and I am in progress of the CPT, certified personal trainer certification as well. I have done training already without the certification, but I want to be more official with it and get that thing done. So I might be taking on some time doing training one-on-one. I don't know yet. Depends on my schedule. I do have a day job, so that would be an evening thing. But I'm going to figure all that out as things go. But I do want to get the certification just to have it, because even if I'm training virtually, it's a good thing to have. It's a good way to be official and learn some new things, even because I always leave myself open to learning some new stuff. So yeah, that's everything here. That's really it. It's a personalized thing. It's very specific to you. I always will tell people, you need to tell me things, because don't just let me tell you what to do, because if I'm just telling you what to do, you're going to listen to what I say for the X amount of time you're with me. And that's that. So speak up, hey, if you got a meal plan and I give it to you and, I'll always take your suggestions. I always tell my clients, you are going to tell me what you think you'd like this week. I'm going to figure some stuff out for you, create a meal plan and give it to you. What I do with the meal plans, though, you have to understand, it's one a week and I change it every week. So you can eat this. If you can eat the same thing, some people like this, some people don't. You eat the same thing every day for a week, basically. And a lot of people are like, oh, no, there's ways to make little changes so it's not as boring. You're probably eating more of the same shit over and over again all week anyways, but you don't really know it because you're not thinking about it. But there's always the option to go into your food log, your MyFitnessPal, and track your own food, weigh it on a food scale. You need a digital food scale. Sorry, but that thing is so important to learn and understand. It's not a forever thing, but it's something that you need to go and get. It's $15-20 on Amazon. Pick one up, have it weigh in ounces, grams, and milliliters or whatever, and do it, because it's so beneficial and eye-opening to weigh things. I think, like I've always said, like of all the machines for fitness, that's the most important piece of equipment that you can have, is a digital food scale at your house. So use it, understand it, get used to it. Because it's necessary. I'd love to find a way to not do that without tracking, but when you're not tracking, you're just winging it. It's the bottom line. There's no other way. I mean, you can obviously, unless your diet is so piss poor that like just cleaning it up a little bit, then maybe, you'll start seeing results, especially if you're morbidly obese. But other than that, you gotta do some tracking. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, that's this episode here. Nothing super entertaining here. I apologize, but I just wanted to get a little clarity out there for what I do and what I'd like to be doing a lot more of, and helping people really, because that's my ultimate life goal. I want to earn money because I don't want to have to do something that I don't love. And I want to do something with helping people, but still earn to pay my bills and save and do things for my kids. But at the same time, I'm also changing somebody's life. And people have said that to me before, and it's like the most mind-blowing thing, that I've changed somebody's life. And now it feels good. I'm not going to lie. I have humility to me. I'm humble. I really am. I have my moments where I'm not, don't worry. But ultimately that's who I am. So, if you want to contact me, social media is a good way. That's, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X at MFS Wellness. Email is mike@mfswellness.com. My website is mfswellness.com. So any of that kind of checks things out, check reviews over there. The link to the podcast is there, which you're already listening to, so you don't need it. But yeah, that's what I've got. I probably missed some stuff, but questions are always welcome. Send over 100 of them, 1 of them, 20 of them, 1,000. I don't care. I'll answer them all. So I will be back again. I'm not sure if I'll be back before Christmas or not, but I am definitely going to be doing, as long as those guys are available, the divorced dads of daughters, part 2 before the end of the year. That's the goal, and we're going to do one of those every quarter until we feel like it's reached its potential, its peak, and we're going to just keep going with it. So enjoy doing that one. So until the next episode, I appreciate everybody. Contact me if you need me, and if I don't come back, have a very, very Merry Christmas.